We're your hosts, Sally F. and Damon Phillips. We're here to help you rethink your money mindset, navigate family finances, and create financial peace without losing sight of what truly matters. It's a little bit practical, a little bit personal, and a whole lot of transformative. So grab your coffee, friend, because it's time to talk real life and real money.
Know that the number one stress in a marriage is money?
I have no trouble believing that.
Of course not, because we lived it. But
welcome to episode 2, Marriage and Money, the biggest fights we've had. We're not big fighters.
We're not big fighters. We're disagreeers.
We are good at that. Okay, so like what we value, even the Bible says where your treasure is, what you value is where your heart is. And so I'm valuing this, he's valuing that, and it's not the same.
Stress.
Potential conflict, right? And, we're laughing because it's not something we fight over anymore or argue over. What do we say? It's not a source of tension anymore. But don't let the levity and the humor diminish.
We still discuss it all the time. And we still don't agree 100% all the time. But we do understand the other person's point of view for the most part.
Yeah. So we'd love to hear from you if you're willing to share. What's the biggest money fight you've ever had? I bet you remember it. I bet it's in your memory. So let's talk about the first year of marriage.
Let's talk about it. That was an adventure.
Here's how I felt. I felt like he was trying to save it all. And how did you feel?
I feel that's a true statement. I try to save every penny that I could.
Yeah. So basically, I'm out of college. I have a job. Kind of the first time I had real money.
Getting a paycheck, steady paycheck.
And it went to savings.
Well, I told you I tried to save all that I could. But what I did not know at the time in the savings is that I wasn't doing the bills. So I really didn't know the flow of the money. And in the past, I didn't spend very much. So I never worried about was there enough to cover because I knew there was. So
definitely that's how that went. What did you like? What was your intention? Can we have credit for good intention?
Just my thought process was if I put it away, if there's something that you, the family truly needs, the money is going to be there. That my biggest concern was always credit card debt. I did not want to pay, what was it at the time, like 18, 19% maybe on a card. I couldn't fathom that.
But we didn't have credit cards.
We had one. We had a family credit card for emergencies, and I really didn't want to use it. I was always taught interest is something that you earn, not pay. So I didn't want to spend. I just wanted to keep it all.
Yeah. So I definitely, like I said, I think my mentality was you went to school, you got a degree, you have some money, let's go spend it. That didn't help.
Well, I will also say this is that the year before we got married, we were not living in the same town. I lived in a very small town, so there was really nothing to do. So I literally saved almost every penny that I didn't allocate for something. In that first year of marriage, I watched all those savings pretty much dwindle simply because you have to get things that you didn't realize you would need, like a refrigerator. We moved into a rental house and we didn't have one. So there went something. Curtains. I didn't know you needed curtains. You just don't walk around in front of the window without your clothes on. But nope, gotta have curtains. And there were a bunch of other things that, to make a home. I get it now, looking back. But at the time, all I saw was debit, 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 debit.
Sure. And I don't know that anybody likes to see, if you've worked hard to save, I don't think anybody likes to see that go away. I don't know, unless you're saving for a specific thing. Okay, so let's talk about big purchases. Like, what was your...
You already know what it was.
I'm digging, I'm probing, because it's not like, we say I'm the spender and he's the saver. He has spent some money.
And when I do, it's big ticket purchases. So, and again, it's because I always thought the money, would be there. But my big splurge / mistake money-wise was a motorcycle.
Yeah. When, just for perspective, we had a toddler and an infant
You were pregnant.
Yeah. I'm pregnant and with a toddler.
Not probably a very smart purchase, but I thought, I'll save gas. I'll just ride it to school. And that was a big mistake.
Yeah. I think you just came home with it Do I remember that correctly?
No. I took a motorcycle safety course because I am a responsible person. And then told you I saw one that I would like to get, and I showed it to you, and then I got it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we didn't talk about it. I kind of explained to you. And I will tell you, everybody in my circle said that's a poor choice. Don't do it. Motorcycles are dangerous. It's not you, it's the other drivers. And I'll be darned if they weren't right that I didn't own it for 6 months.
It was short lived. So again,
Poor
I want you to
choice.
take my mind choices, or what's going on in my head is I can't really spend like I want to. It's probably a good thing. But he's buying motorcycles and stuff.
That caused stress.
Tension. Yeah, tension. Sometimes, do you ever think, how are we still married? It's not. Oh, whatever. Okay. So a lack of communication was definitely a part of the game. So when I did pay the bills, I would put it in Quicken, and then I would write it in a ledger, and I would balance a check up to the penny. Like, I'm not afraid of math and numbers, but I would do the day-to-day expenses, groceries, pay the bills, all the little things.
I wouldn't call that little. I mean,
and you did.
I kind of asked a lot of questions as far as what are the cost of things? What does it cost? What was the electricity bill? What are we paying for cable and Wi-Fi and different things like that? And then also looking at our investment accounts that we had at the time. And so that was mine. So I always tell people I was kind of the big picture overseer, and then Sally was detailed day to day.
And you tried to bring me in. So when we say savings, a lot of that was investing. Was that?
Yes.
So it wasn't like just sitting in a savings account. And you wanted to share that.
I was so proud. I had a statement one time, and I brought it in. I said, Sal, look at this. Look at what our investments have made us. And your comment to me was,
what can I spend? Like, if I can't spend it,
just tell me when I can spend it.
Yeah, like if it's off the table, man.
That was eye-opening right there.
Yeah. And he wanted, and to me it was overwhelming. I had never been exposed to investing before, and I didn't understand, and he'd been at it for so long. And so he would show me the big picture, and I couldn't take it in. It was just so many pieces and parts. And so he was like, do it all, right? And I was like, all or nothing. So I look at nothing. So I really didn't step into his world.
For a long time. We kept those separate.
Yeah. So if we had some takeaways, communication. And we didn't even know we weren't communicating.
Those were just our roles that we had established for ourselves.
We didn't have a plan. I don't know. We just were flying by the seat of our pants. I can't say there was blaming.
No.
But there was frustration. And conversations didn't happen unless something was wrong or needed. I need to pay.
What was the big one? Do you remember?
Life insurance.
The insurance.
Yeah.
I came to her and I said, look, we got to pay this annual premium. It's X. And she said, well, we don't have that. I'm like, what do you mean we don't have that? She said, well, I haven't set money aside for it. And I'm like, how do we not set money aside? And then I said, and I realized it was I knew it was coming because that's a big picture item. And I had not talked to her about it. I just, again, I went back to my role of what I had known in the past is, look, this is when I had to pay it. I had saved the money. So that was hard. But I think that opened our eyes because we realized, hey, not only life insurance, but we had, at the time, renter's insurance, and then we had car insurance. So it made us have a conversation to say, look, when are these payments coming due? We're going to have to do something to make sure that the money's there because we can't put it on a credit card and we can't dip in the savings always to pay these.
Yeah. And that's what we were doing, which caused him further angst. And the words that caused me the most stress was, I don't even know if it was words where he'd go get the checkbook to go pay something. And I would just cringe thinking, what's he need? Is he going to be there? So if we haven't made it clear, the lack of communication. And not in a tense situation. So open dialogue. Ongoing. Like, talk about money on a regular basis, once a week, once a month. Do you even know what's in your account? Face it. Face the fact that there's nothing there, or face the fact that there's plenty there to pay what's coming.
And still have some to spend or have fun with.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere, we kind of laughed about how we said, how have we managed to stay married with these such different beliefs? The thing that would always bring us back together is remembering that we are on the same team. And while we didn't have a lot of discussions about what the actual big picture was, we did have a common goal. And that was, we didn't want to be broke. We wanted to save and have a future and travel, retire early. That was a long game that he led the way on that. And so, maybe I can laugh now. Those first years were so hard for me, for him too. But looking back, I have no regrets. If there are regrets, it's that I didn't come alongside and play teammates sooner.
But we figured out a way. That's the key, is that we figured out a way that worked for us. Would love to tell you it was instantaneous and happened, but it was developed over time.
Yeah, it was developed over time. So the big thing that united us was Dave Ramsey. It gave us a common language. It gave us, taught us how to communicate. It taught us how to bring, make him aware of the day-to-day, make me aware of the big picture, the big ticket items. And I would have never thought, I loved a budget. I loved knowing where the line was. So I knew if I didn't cross it, then when he came looking for life insurance money, that it was going to be there. So it sounds weird. Do you love a budget? I don't know. I love the word budget. I love the concept of a budget. We started using cash envelopes for groceries, household.
Almost everything to start.
We had tons of envelopes. And I loved the very visual aspect of watching it diminish, because it was gone. And I knew my shopping was over. We still use cash for groceries.
And household
Products, toilet paper, paper towel, that kind of thing. Those, for whatever reason, those two have stuck. And so we still use cash for that.
I think the greatest thing that Dave Ramsey brought us was a common vocabulary. I would say things to Sally all the time, and maybe she didn't understand what I was saying, or I didn't explain myself very well. But when she heard Dave Ramsey, because she's the one that brought him to my attention, I had never heard of the man. He had a podcast, and she came home one time. She said, "Have you ever heard of this guy? You ought to listen to him." And he was all about being debt free. And I'm like, "Oh, that's for me." So I listened to a couple of his episodes. I went to Sally. I said, "This guy's saying the same thing that I've said the whole time, but he's saying it in a way that spoke to Sally." And I'm like, if that's what it takes, shoot, that's what we'll use.
And maybe that's point number 3, whatever, is having a common language. So I worked with a client whose husband wanted to put her on a budget. And I mean, it doesn't even sound good, right? You don't tell me what to do, whatever, put her on a budget. But she was like, can we just call it a spending plan, right? If the word budget makes your skin crawl, call it a spending plan.
Find something that works for you.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong if it's for you and your family. So that was key, just finding that common vocabulary.
And it did help us. Before that, it's been a long time. I can't remember when we could get to the point where we could say, listen, we want the same thing. We're on the same team. And we use that. Parenting.
What do we call it?
Finances.
Phillips forever.
Okay. If you need to establish rules, if you're talking about money as something that name calling or whatever, yelling, if you need to establish rules, set them. One of the things, I think everybody that knows this knows if it's Thursday morning or Sunday morning, we're on a coffee date.
I like that.
And I
like coffee.
But it makes I call it neutral territory. If we're talking about tense things, it's probably at a coffee shop because you behave better when you're out in public. Is it neutral territory?
You're not going to get loud. It won't mean you won't get either frustrated or
emotional,
but you're probably not going to get loud.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, though, that we've done it for so long that it just flows. At first, it wasn't, I wouldn't say easy, but it was like, we got to go have this coffee date. We're going to talk about X. When you realize you're working together, it makes it a lot easier. Maybe
one of the tips that I had written down to make sure to remember is focus on resolving the issue rather than winning the argument. If you're just in it to win it, that's where names get called or whatever, where you say things that maybe you'll regret. It's like, no, I'm just here to win.
That means the other person is losing, and that's not a good feeling. So they're not going to want to talk.
And if you're on the same team, right?
We are winning.
Yeah. We are winning or we are losing, but we're together. So, yeah. So maybe even that concept of if we're on the same team, there is no winner and loser. Okay. Will somebody have to compromise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't be all or none. I mean, think about it. If you've been married, you know that it can't be all or none. So you're going to have to kind of find the things that are most important to you and then explain to your partner in language that they can understand why it's important to you. And then it may not look exactly like that at the end, but if you're both working towards that goal, then it's going to look somewhat the way you imagined it. I used to tell Sally all the time, we need to make sure we're funding our Ross. And I would say, because it's after-tax dollars. And she kind of looked at me and says, we can pull the money when we want after 59 and a half, don't have to pay tax. Oh, don't have to pay tax? I like that.
That's my kind of money, the no tax money.
Uncle Sam's always going to get his chunk, but
somewhere on the front end or the back end. Yeah, that's a lesson. So did you find a nugget that you could that you could take away today? We'd love it if you did. If the whole concept sounds like overwhelming, pick one thing. I think that was advice we used to give when we had the gym. It's like, listen, trying to do your diet, your exercise, pick one thing. Pick one thing. Neutral territory to have conversations about money. Check your banking account at least once a week.
Drink plenty of water.
Drink plenty of water. So thanks for visiting with us on episode 2. I am super excited about the upcoming episode about our kids. Like, we raised our kids. We started them super young on this whole money journey, and can't wait to share that with you. I
just want to share my appreciation to you. The people that are listening to this or watching it have no idea the time and effort that Sally has spent doing this. And I will say this to the camera, to everybody. I didn't do hardly anything. She basically tells me, we're going to do an episode. This is kind of what it's going to be. She gives me an outline. I read it. I get in front of the camera and I'm funny. But in seriousness, Sally, she does everything. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate it. That I know that this has been something that you've wanted to do for a very long time. You made it happen.
Thank you.
And I love you and I appreciate it.